Hi everyone, and welcome back to iRacing Without Tears, Episode 4, The Race. Really quick before we start off, this is a 1363 strength of field and is exactly on par with the skill level of your first race day in iRacing. Starting from day 1, you have an I rating of 1350. In this race, I think I was just below that I rating to start, but the field average is 1363, so this is a pretty good picture of what you would expect. As I work on this series, my goal is going to be to just race one race per week. That way you're seeing my performance as it is. I'm not out there trying to get the perfect one. So in this race, it starts out looking like exactly what I need as far as being a newbie race, but it actually ends up going a little better for me than I kind of wanted, but that's the way it is. The next one may be different, and we'll get to talk about different things. So today, we'll work with what we've got. I'm gridded in position 5. Lock that in your head because a lot's going to happen. I screw up right out of the gate here. In the Pro Mazda that I normally race, you can pretty much come right out of the clutch at redline and be off with very little wheel spin. In the MX-5, I learned right here that that isn't true. What a pretty double stripe I laid down there, right? Anyhow, that little mistake gives the number 5 car there with the Red Bull paint job behind me a chance to walk right on by. But then watch what happens with that. The Red Bull gives a little tap of the brakes right at the entry, and then gets into the yellow and purple number 4 car hard. Notice no brake lights from the number 5 Red Bull car. What happened there? This is a great example of me racing. He just plows through. Win it or bin it, straight out of Forza. The number 8 car behind me ends up giving me a tap, but I don't think he really could have avoided that. The number 4 car gets turned around a full 180, and for all I'm trying, I can't avoid the contact, but it wasn't severe. I'm a little bit tangled up in the number 2 car as well, but I don't even think I realized he was there during the race. Turn 1, lap 1, this is how the rookie races can start. By the exit of turn 1, I've already dropped to position 9. So as we get gathered up a little bit here and move on, look who's off in the grass again on turn 3. It's our ham-fisted buddy in the Red Bull, number 5. Now I'm not calling this guy out to shame him. I don't know him. But that style of driving, me. And so far he's impacted at least 3 cars. He's hopelessly off in the grass. Don't drive like that. He will not be a factor in the rest of this race. He gave it all up in less than half a lap. Along the backstretch, one goes off to the left, one goes off to the right. It's pure chaos. I told you, this is your day 1 race, and I wasn't joking. So after having gone as low as P9, by the end of the first lap, I've made my way back up to P6, mostly because of off-tracks by other cars. In a pretty real way, in this one lap, you've seen everything that probably frustrated you about your opening in iRacing, or everything that will frustrate you when you're ready for your first race. The people who have gone off like that for the most part probably didn't put much time into practice, probably didn't put much time into thinking about the fact that they're racing with other real people and shouldn't be running them off just 'cause. And the whole point of my series here is going to be to train you out of this mode of thinking if you're in it. And if you're not, and you find yourself getting shafted by these guys, I'm hoping to show you how to avoid it. One of the most important things you can do there is just keep your cool. Had I not been thinking in turn 1, I could have done a lot of damage to my car and ended my race. But I'm going into turn 1 with the expectation that it's all going to go horrible. And it does. And so I'm in better position to stay out of it as much as possible and continue with my race without giving everything up right there. But then number 9 runs himself wide on turn 3, and that's an easy spot for me to take back. But watch in the mirror. His re-entry was overdone and he spins off again. He didn't need to do that. It probably cost him way more time than it should have. Always stay cool. If you're in the grass, come back into the track gently. You may give up a position, but it's better than spinning yourself again and giving up 4. Also, when coming back onto the track, especially from a solo off like that, where it's all your own fault, really give a lot of respect to the other drivers that are coming up on the track. Have your relative black box open, the F3 one, so you can see how far away they are, because you're the one who screwed up. and you shouldn't be screwing up somebody else's race just because you're impatient and you goofed. Now, this guy didn't really mess anybody else up, but he could have, and I just wanted to get that out there so you know. So at the end of lap 2, I've managed to make my way up to 4th. There's a clear separation now between the guys with some experience and the guys without. We have a 3-car breakaway pack leading, and then I'm in 4th, and then there's 5, 6, 7 grouped together in another pack. And after that, it's kind of just everybody else. I was worried that the body damage that I took on lap 1 was going to be slowing me, but I'm doing fine catching up to 3rd position in that yellow and black car ahead. As we begin lap 5, I'm getting a bit of a problem with the yellow and black car. He's fine, he's doing okay, but he's holding me up, and I need to get by. I'm not the kind of guy who just jams himself in, so I'm heaping on the pressure, I'm learning his braking points and just driving as close to him as I can. I want him to make a stress mistake, but I don't trust him, so I don't want to make a move yet, because I don't want it to end in a wreck. Coming off of the S's, he makes a mistake. He wiggles a bit, he's overdriven the rear end. I was a bit too far back to capitalize on it, but I have a lot of momentum down the back. Approaching the chicane, he makes a serious error. He tries to block what he figures is me trying to outbrake him. At least that's how it looked. This is a terrible place to try a move, and I wasn't going to. I was going to follow him and try to make a move up front on the straight, but it looks like he thought I was going for it, and he turned in under braking. Since the front of the car was so loaded up from his braking, it immediately darted to the right, sent him across the grass and into the chicane in a bad way. He ends up facing the wrong way against the fence. Never make aggressive wheel inputs under braking. He just showed you why. So from that point, it was all about chasing down 1 and 2. These guys seemed to be pretty solid drivers, so I was ready to play a long game and just hit my marks. But they were racing each other pretty hard, and it was costing them time. Meanwhile, I was running alone just doing hot laps, so I came up behind them pretty quickly. I don't honestly know what happened with the number 11. He ended up letting me by at the end of lap 7, and that put me into 2nd place. And since I was expecting to be midfield in this race, I'm starting to get a little bit overexcited. I don't know about the rest of you, but when I start getting up to the front of the field, I start getting pretty pumped, and sometimes it causes me to start making mistakes. The sky blue car that's running in first is a guy who was in the same practice as me before the race. So I'd lapped with him a little bit, and I'd had an idea of his style and his pace. And I believed I could get ahead of him with some patience. But since I decided to go for this off-road experience, that sort of slipped away. However, this off-track is a good example of what I was saying earlier about stay cool, work your way back to the track, don't kill anyone. It does take some practice, but a trip across the grass doesn't have to be a race ender. The number 11 and I are pretty similar in style and skill. I'm just being patient. I don't see any value in trying to bum rush this guy, so I just hold my spot, keep the pressure on. I'm hoping again for a mistake. But having followed this guy around for a little while, I'm starting to think he's pretty cool-headed, and the mistake might not come easily.
One eternity later.
Finally, he makes a little error in the chicane that I can profit from. But he completely owns me off the last turn and down the front. Going into turn 1, I have no choice but to give it back to him. I'm still willing to fight, and I'm giving it all I have. When coming off the second chicane, I see that sky blue car from position 1. He's goofed the exit. Myself and the 11 pick up the position. As we begin lap 18, I believe for some reason this is the white flag lap. It's not. I don't know where I got this idea in my head, but I did. So I'm racing really hard to try and find a little. I really want to squeeze myself up to number 1. So there we are. Went from 5th place to 2nd, fell back as far as 9th on lap 1. Clawed it back to the front. You can do this. Every race doesn't have to end in a disaster. This time I got lucky. I'm going to be doing more races, and we're going to see some of those disasters happen. When they do, I'm going to show you what I did right, what I did wrong, and do my best to be honest with myself, which is what I always do, and what you should do too. Save your replays, watch them, look for the errors within yourself, not within the other guys. It doesn't matter what they did wrong, because you can't change it. So you just need to be more aware of what you're doing and what they're doing so that you can be prepared for the errors that they do make. This is going to be the key to everything that we're going to talk about here on this channel. So anyway, that's about enough for now. The next race I expect to get in with the MX-5 is either going to be at Okayama or it's going to be at Laguna. These are two of my favorite tracks in this car. They're just a lot of fun. And please remember, if you're getting anything out of this, give it a like, give a subscribe. It really does help me out. Anyhow, take care and we'll see you next time.